So as we know, the UFC 321 is going down tomorrow on Saturday, and it is a good card. But one of the things about it has that was brought to my attention kind of highlights a bigger issue with the UFC in general, especially recently in the past, 3 or 4 years, more modern UFC, and that lies in the co-main event, the strawweight title fight between Jandiroba and Mackenzie Dern. And the issue is, one, you have the card tomorrow, and you have the main event, Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane, which is a great fight in its own, very anticipated, been years in the making. And then the rest of the card is a good card. It's a really good card. You have Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Batista. That's obviously people aren't really hot on Batista after the Aldo and the Patchy Mix performances. It's very stale, you could say, very not very good on the eyes, I guess you could say. But it is two big names. Like Mario Batista has kind of inserted himself in the top 10 at bantamweight, and obviously Umar, the surname kind of is one of the main reasons why he's known. Plus, he is good. He's a good fighter. He's of the Dagestani family, and so that's a good fight. And then you have Volkov versus Almeida, two top 5 heavyweight fighters. That's a good fight. Volkov, people arguably say he should have beat Gane, but it was the judges that robbed him. So he's very big right now. Almeida, also big. So that'll be a good fight. And then there's also Rakic and, versus Mirzakhanov. Mirzakhanov coming up. Rakic has always kind of been this exciting fighter, very explosive. So that's the whole card. And the co-main event, which is Jandiroba versus Dern, that was because that is the vacant title fight because Zhang Weili's moving up. So then they were the next two contenders. But it's one of these things where the problem with the UFC in general is the women's fights. And don't get me wrong, you do get good women's fights, but it is very, it's like 1 in 100 fights are like decent fights, or like maybe 1 in every 100, or like a war. 1 in maybe every 50 they get like a cool knockout. You know what I mean? Most of the time it's a decision, and half the time those decisions, it's completely random. Like there's no rhyme or reason about it. You might as well flip a coin to see who will win, and that's usually what happens. But the issue, and the reason I was making this video was because the issue is that there is no, essentially, that for the UFC, especially now with the whole, people aren't liking the product now, one of the main aspects of that is the women's fights. Because unlike with men, especially men of the higher weight classes, there's not like when you're watching a women's fight, you're not thinking, oh my god, like any moment someone could get a knockout. Someone, like, you don't want to blink. There's never that in a women's fight. Like, I can't even think of any, really good women who you're always like, whoa, like, obviously women don't have like knockout power. That's just kind of not really a thing. But there's never a complete danger with power, essentially. Obviously get Kayla Harrison, she's pretty good because she's built like a man, I guess you could say. But with the unpopularity, I guess you could say, of the UFC right now, especially the marketing as well, especially the marketing with Dana White, there was that video the other month where he was advertising or he was announcing fights, and he did it on a plane with like 240p quality. It was like the worst thing ever. And it's like, this is a multi-billion dollar company. It just signed a $7 billion deal with Paramount for the streaming rights, and he's doing fight announcements on a plane with microwave toaster quality. So, and it's also, obviously you have the Apex, which is like not the best. But with the women specifically, it's the like forced insertion of women's fights. You know what I mean? Like, no, this title fight in general, no one cares about at all. Like, no one will give a shit. Jandiroba is not. There's no she she's Brazilian. I don't even think she speaks English. If she does, very little of it. She has no personality. No one's going to care about her, especially in the US and European markets, the two biggest markets of MMA, the UFC, especially the American market. And then her fight, obviously she gets some submissions, and yeah, she's a dangerous contender, but she's not marketable at all, and that's the main thing. You can fight as good as you want in the UFC, but if you're not marketable, you might as well not do it. You might as well not do it, because that's the main reason people are going to buy the pay-per-view. Obviously, this is an irrelevant fact, coming up to be because of the Paramount thing, but no one's going to watch if you're not marketable, if you don't have a personality, if you can't sell tickets. And then on the other hand, you have Mackenzie Dern. She's got a bit of a personality. Everyone says she's like a fake Brazilian, because it's like she puts on the Brazilian accent, and there's that. But then she's like the same. Like she can, like, obviously she's like a submission. She's like a jiu-jitsu fighter, but she does not. Obviously, again, she doesn't have that. Oh, what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? She's been like beat up a bunch of times. She's lost a bunch of times. And the only reason why anyone ever gets hyped for a Mackenzie Dern fight is because she's like an OnlyFans person. Like, she'll like at the weigh-ins today, she was like, she like stripped down into like a, it was like a pant or like a thong and a bra, and everyone's getting like liking that on Instagram and stuff, and it's like, that's not, yeah, it's hot or whatever, but it's like, that doesn't really. We want to watch fights for the quality of the athlete, for the quality to see how good you are at mixed martial arts. We don't care if you're hot or whatever. I mean, some people do, but me and I'm sure many others don't. They actually want to see decent fights. They actually want to see good performances, and they don't want to just see people liking an athlete because they're stripping down and showing their arse or whatever. They're selling their OnlyFans. So that's the problem with. That's one of the big problems. It's just women's fights in general, and it does. And also, just a point at the end, it does add on. Or sorry, not add on. It does take a spot on the main card. You could add another fight to this card, and people wouldn't give a shit. The fact that this is a title fight. If you replace this title fight with just a top 10 middleweight or welterweight fight, people would think it was better. Just because this is a title fight doesn't mean it's a good fight. And that's one of the problems as well. It's like, I wonder how much money the UFC could make more through, subscriptions, through pay-per-views. Obviously that's going away, but I wonder how much money they can make if they just didn't have women in the company. Maybe have like a couple, maybe have like 15, but they're all really good. Like, just have, Shevchenko, Whaley, all those ones, all the good, really good ones that actually like are pretty, they're really good at fighting. They're really sharp and tactical and stuff. But yeah, I wonder how much more money the UFC can make. And the marketing from Dana White is just abysmal as well. Like, that needs to get sorted as well. He doesn't care anymore. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I just want to talk about that, and thanks for watching, and like and subscribe, it really helps out, and I'll see you later. Bye.